Hello and welcome back. And in this video, we are going to be looking at the Firestore. So basically, we're going to be looking at saving our data into the Firestore and going to retrieve that data back into our app to display it right here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are first of all we're going to go to our Firebase console and make sure that database option is enabled. Okay, and for now what we can do is we can create some sample data. So um, let's see. So what we need is basically a top level uh, journal or top level you can say um, uh, top level collection. I was looking for the right term. A collection that we can use to basically retrieve um, that information back. So we're gonna simply call this journal. Okay, and now this journal is going to contain, or we can call it journals, and this is going to contain all the other fields for us. So it's like a top level collection, and then it's going to have like various different fields in it. Okay, now in our case our fields are going to be exactly like journal entry. So we can have entry, it is going to be of type string. Then we can have entry date, and this can be of type string as well. We don't have any date type, so we're going to keep it string. And then you can have title, it's just going to be of type string. And then user ID, once again of type string. Okay, I'm going to save that. And there we go, we have a journal entry created. Now we can actually update this. So sample. Okay, so we made a mistake here. This got to be so December 08, for example, 2018. Let's name it that, or date it there, and we're gonna put random user, so like that. Okay, so we have one record, and we can actually retrieve this record inside our app. Okay, so let's do one more thing. So if you go Firebase, you remember like in the Firebase, we needed to add another in the pod file, another dependency. So we had core that enabled Firebase. We had auth after that that enabled authentication, and then now we need another one that is going to be basically our database. So that one is called Firestore. So we're going to create Firestore, and let's go ahead and add dependency for Firestore. So I'm going to do vi pod file one more time, and we're going to insert new content in here, and we're going to simply paste this Firebase / Firestore. Okay, so if you check out the documentation, you're gonna find this. I actually grabbed it from there, and now I'm simply gonna do pod install to make sure that our Firebase Firestore is installed. Right, so it's gonna basically work. It's magic and includes those dependencies. So let's wait for it to generate new pod, and there we go. Our project has been refreshed. As you saw, everything collapsing. So we are good to go. Now, one thing we can, the way we can make sure that we have access to the Firestore is basically just by going into at the top here on general view controller, and we're simply going to say var db Firestore. There we go. And if you see that, that means your pod installation went successful. I mean, we know it's already gone successful, but this step is necessary. If you don't see it, just clean build, and it should actually get you this Firestore included into your project. All right. Now we have included the Firestore. Now we're going to initialize this database. So we're going to say, we're going to remove this dummy data for now, and we're going to say, or forever, I'm going to say db is equal to Firestore dot Firestore, and this is going to initialize our Firestore database. Okay. Now what we need to do basically is we need to get journals that are stored in our Firestore database. Now in future we're going to actually restrict our journals to be to only include for the current user. But for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to get everything, whatever is stored in there, so we can get like all the sample data and everything. And in next video we're going to design our detail view and create new journal view, and that's where we're going to start saving our own journals, and that's when we're going to remove all the dummy data and then put actual data and start retrieving that. Okay, so first of all we're going to create viewDidAppear. I'm going to call super.viewDidAppear animated, and here we're going to say function get journals. Okay, now we're going to make sure that we are actually logged in, so guard let user ID. We're going to try to get user ID from auth dot current user dot uid, else we want to return. Okay, and then we're going to say db.collection, and we're going to give a collection field. Okay, so the collection path is basically the collection that you have created, this guy right here. So I'm simply going to copy this and paste it right here. Now we can put where condition, but we're not going to do it right now. We're simply going to say add snapshot listener, and here we're going to get a snapshot for our collection stored in Firebase, and then we're going to simply say guard let documents is equal to snapshot dot documents, else print error fetching documents. Alright, and return. Now we're going to do self.journal journals is equal to documents dot compact map is what we're going to use, and we're going to get document here, so we're going to remove all this and we're going to say document. Okay, and this document is what we're going to return as a journal entry. So journal entry, and you remember we created this dictionary overload, so we're going to use that. So we're going to say dictionary overload, and we're going to get document that we have received dot value. Now this value or dot data, its data is returned as a value of as a dictionary of string and any type, and that is our so it's basically returned as string and any. So if you notice dot data right there, string and any, and that's what our dictionary type is. So basically what's going to happen, journal entry is going to receive this dictionary. This dictionary is going to parse all these values for us, and it's going to create a new object for journal entry and return that new object. and that's how we're gonna actually parse data that's received in a dictionary, in string, in any dictionary, into our model object. Okay, once we have done that, we're gonna simply call dispatch queue dot main dot async, and we're gonna reload our table view here with new data. Okay, now one more thing we want to make sure is we are not calling this. Okay, we are adding everything to our journal, and we are not using user ID right now, so I think everything is looking good. Journals.count. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this because I want to see how if we get any error. If we do, we're gonna actually resolve it there. But what we should see is, instead of seeing all this dummy data, we should see this new entry that we have created. Basically, this document entry that we have created, we should see that. Alright, so it looks like it's still building. Like I said, more dependencies there are. First time build takes a little bit longer because all the files are not in the cache. So basically Xcode is building that cache, so subsequent builds can be a little bit can be a lot faster actually. So it's almost done. It's like 4,000 tasks to go, and it has got about 1,400. So hopefully it's going to be done in a few seconds. So let's wait for that. And while it's doing that, okay, so it's almost getting ready. Alright, so these are all the warnings that is actually showing from the Firebase side. Okay, so I think we can ignore that. And these are, most of them are just warnings, so we can actually safely ignore those. If we get actually any error, then we can address that. Alright, so while it's doing that, let's see what can we do. We can go to our main.storyboard and maybe start designing our detail. So let's do that. I want to use this time to do something constructive. So we can actually put a table view controller here because we want to basically oh wow, look at that. That's upside down. Okay, a table view controller because we want to actually create a static table that's going to be used instead of dynamic, so we can show our details inside that static table view. Okay, and I'm gonna create a segue. So I'm gonna drag this segue from this view controller down to this newly created table view controller, and there we go. And we're gonna call this details. Okay, so we have our demo running, so we can say demo at demo.com, password, and login. Okay, so it looks like our data is not being fetched, and the issue could be that we might have forgotten to call that function. Yes, okay, so we created the function but we forgot to call that, so let me go ahead and put that in, and this time it's going to be relatively fast, but let's continue. Okay, so it's installing now. So okay, so log in one more time, and I know after a few runs it gets annoying to log in, but we're gonna see in a few how we can basically make this work a little bit better. Okay, so what's the there seems to be an error, So it's going to change and your app may break. Behavior, system date, objects stored. Feedback, okay. Okay. Um, It looks like our data is not being returned, so let's see what's going on. So let's go inside this and put a debug point, and we're gonna debug it. Okay, so we hit this breakpoint, and it looks like there is no error. So we did get some documents, and there is a value inside that. Okay, so we're gonna see if we have any entry in journal. So let's see. There is no element in journal. Okay, so why is that? Alright, so let's see if we can find out. We go okay, so let's see if we can PO documents. Okay, there is one document, so we're trying to get that. So we're simply gonna say PO documents dot. Okay, go index by 0. Okay, dot data. Okay, so sample and this and that. Okay, so let's go inside our this initializer, and what could be the issue is basically this date, because date might be the one that's not getting converted. Okay, all right, let's do this. Let us, because I don't know, what kind of date format it's actually expecting. So what we are going to do is we're going to create an entry from our journal view controller, and we're going to save that into Firebase, just a sample data, and then we're going to use that to populate, and then going to come back and basically refactor it. Okay, so we're going to add a sample, another call to add this document into our database. So let's do that. Okay, so let's create a function here, and we're gonna reuse that function a little bit later. So add entry, and we're simply gonna add an entry here. So we're gonna create a new journal entry. So we're gonna say let entry is equal to journal entry dot init. Entry is sample. Oh, yeah. So date, new sample, date, sample, and you can put current user ID. So guard let user ID is equal to auth dot current user dot UID, else return. Okay, so we're going to supply that user ID here. Okay, now here we're going to create a database reference. So we're going to say ref is equal to document, or document reference actually, document reference. Optional type, we're going to assign it nil, and this is how you create a new document. And our database is already initialized, so we're going to simply say ref dot ref is equal to self dot db dot collection, and the collection path is this one right here. So we're going to paste that, dot add document, and we're going to use our overload for entry dot dictionary. So it's going to give us dictionary form of this journal entry back, and we're going to add that as a document. And then for the completion, we are simply going to say so completion is going to give us error. So there is a completion overload actually. So let's see if we can find that completion overload. This one right here. So entry dot dictionary, and completion overload gives us error object. So guard error equal nil, else return. And here what we're going to do is we're going to say, we are simply going to say print, or actually, you know what, let's refresh our table view. Okay, so we're going to simply refresh our table view if everything goes well. Okay, so alright, so I think we are good. So what we can do, alright, so next thing we have done is basically added this entry. So we finished adding a sample here, and we're going to add this function call to our view did load, and going to simply run it and make sure that our app actually reports us the new document. So we're going to log in. Right, so we see our new document right here. So let's go back to the console and check it out. Okay, so this was the mistake that was actually that I was making, that this is a timestamp value type that's being created. Okay, and what we are storing here is a string, and that is why it was actually throwing an error. So let's do this. Let's delete this document, and let's keep this entry right here. And as you can see, our app is now reporting that journal to be available. Okay, so we can simply comment this out, run it one more time, and see if our Firestore connection is actually working. Okay, alright, so we can simply say demo@demo.com, password, login, and there we go. Alright, so we have our journal entry showing up just fine. Okay, so I guess this is it for this video, and in the next video we're going to be looking at creating our create new journal screen, and basically looking at details for the existing journal. Okay, so we're going to add one screen for both purposes, and we're going to basically refactor this method that we have created into that screen. Okay, so right, so I think this is it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.